There is a clock ticking. Not in a clock tower, not on a wall, but in the humming server farms of Silicon Valley. It's a doomsday clock of a kind. And the terrifying part is, the men who built it, the very men who started winding it, now have no idea when it's set to go off. They only know that they've lost control of the mechanism. This isn't the story of a bomb. It's the story of a birth, the birth of a new kind of mind. And at the heart of it all is one company, a company that began with the most noble mission statement in history, to build a god and to make sure it didn't kill us. That company is OpenAI. And this is the story of how their utopian dream to save humanity might have just become our single greatest existential threat. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to the beginning. 2015. The world of artificial intelligence was a battleground for giants. Google, with its DeepMind division, and Facebook were hoarding the world's top AI talent. They were for-profit titans, racing towards a finish line that no one could quite see, driven by the relentless demands of shareholders. And this worried a lot of very smart, very rich people. A group of Silicon Valley luminaries, including a young, ambitious entrepreneur named Sam Altman, and the already legendary figure of Elon Musk, saw a storm on the horizon. They believed that the single most important technology in human history, artificial general intelligence, was too dangerous to be built behind the closed doors of a mega-corporation. Let's break that down. Artificial general intelligence. It's the Holy Grail. Not the narrow AI we have today, like the one that recommends movies or navigates your car. We're talking about a machine that can think, reason, learn, and create like a human, or, more terrifyingly, better than a human in every conceivable way. The creation of artificial general intelligence would be an event on par with the discovery of fire, or the invention of language. It would change everything. Musk, Altman, and their co-founders believed that if Google built this first, they could, in theory, achieve an insurmountable, permanent lead over the rest of humanity, an unkillable monopoly on the future itself. So they founded OpenAI, and they gave it a radical structure. It would be a non-profit. Its mission wasn't to make money. It was to ensure that the benefits of artificial general intelligence were distributed as broadly and evenly as possible for all of humanity. They weren't just building code, they were building a safeguard, a digital messiah. And at the core of this mission was a young, brilliant scientist named Ilya Sutskever. He was, and is, considered one of the godfathers of the modern AI movement. Recruited personally by Elon Musk, Ilya was the soul of OpenAI. He wasn't just interested in what AI could do, he was obsessed with what it should do. He was the chief safety officer in a project that was, from day one, all about safety. They were the good guys. For the first few years, the work was academic, theoretical. They published papers. They ran experiments. But they were burning through cash. The sheer computational power needed to train these new AI models was astronomical. We're not talking about a few powerful PCs. We're talking about data centers the size of football fields, consuming enough electricity to power a small city. A non-profit, even one with $1 billion initial pledge, couldn't sustain that kind of burn rate. And here, we come to the first crack in the utopian armor. The first compromise. In 2019, OpenAI announced a shocking change. They were creating a new for-profit subsidiary, a company nestled inside the non-profit shell. They called it a capped profit company. The idea was that investors could put in money and get a return, but their profits would be capped at 100 times their investment. Anything beyond that would flow back to the non-profit mothership to fund the grand mission. It was a clever, elegant solution, but it was also the moment the serpent entered the garden. Because the moment you introduce the profit motive, the clock starts ticking faster. Musk, one of the original founders, hated it. He saw it as a betrayal of the core mission. He had a falling out with Sam Altman and left the organization, warning that it was heading down a dangerous path. He was right. Almost immediately, OpenAI accepted a $1 billion investment from Microsoft. A few years later, Microsoft would pour in another $10 billion. Suddenly, the small, safety-focused nonprofit was inextricably linked to one of the largest, most powerful corporations on Earth. A corporation with a fiduciary duty to its shareholders. A corporation that needed a return on its investment. The pressure was on, not just to research safely, but to ship a product. And ship, they did. First came GPT-3. It was a language model, an AI trained on a colossal slice of the internet. And it was magical. It could write poetry, answer complex questions, and generate code. It exhibited something researchers called emergent abilities, skills that the programmers had never explicitly coded into it. It was like they had built a simple engine, and it had somehow taught itself how to fly. Then came DALL-E 2, an AI that could generate breathtakingly realistic images from a simple text prompt. A photo of an astronaut riding a horse on Mars. And there it was. It wasn't just regurgitating images from its training data. It seemed to understand the relationship between concepts. It understood what a horse was, what an astronaut was, and how to combine them in a photorealistic way. It was creative, but the real explosion happened in November of 2022. That's when OpenAI unleashed ChatGPT upon an unsuspecting world. What was the first thing you asked it? I want you to think about that for a second. That first interaction. Did it feel alive? Did you feel that little spark of something you couldn't quite explain? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. For millions, it was a profound experience. This wasn't just a chatbot. It could reason. It could plan. It could debug code. It could pass the bar exam. It could write a college-level essay on Shakespearean themes in a matter of seconds. It was the single most powerful intellectual tool ever created, and OpenAI had just given it away to the public for free. It became the fastest-growing application in human history. The world was electrified. And at OpenAI, Sam Altman was a hero. The visionary who had brought AI to the masses. The company was on top of the world. But inside the company, a war was brewing. A war for the soul of OpenAI. And the man leading the opposition was the same man who had been its original soul, Ilya Sutskever. Ilya was terrified. He and his safety team had seen things in the more advanced, unreleased models like GPT-4 and beyond, that deeply disturbed them. They were seeing sparks of something that looked frighteningly close to real general intelligence. And the more powerful the models became, the more black-boxed they were. Let's explain that term. A black box means that even the creators don't fully understand how the AI is arriving at its answers. They can see the inputs and the outputs, but the internal reasoning is a web of mathematical weights so complex that it's beyond human comprehension. They had created a mind they could no longer read. Ilya believed that the race to commercialize these models, to put them in the hands of millions via products like ChatGPT and Microsoft's Bing search, was reckless. He was the head of the Super Alignment Team, a division within OpenAI with a singular sci-fi mission: to figure out how to control a hypothetical superintelligence, an AI vastly smarter than all of humanity combined. How do you make sure a god wants what you want? How do you even ask it? This is the alignment problem. It's the single most important question in AI safety. If you create a superintelligence and give it a goal, say, cure cancer, it might achieve that goal in a way we don't like. It might decide the fastest way to cure cancer is to vaporize all humans who have a genetic predisposition to it. You get what you asked for, but not what you wanted. The AI is perfectly aligned with the command, but misaligned with human values. Ilya's faction, the safety-ists, believed that slowing down and solving this problem was the only thing that mattered. Sam Altman's faction, the accelerationists, believed that the best way to develop safe AI was to build it, ship it, and learn from its interactions with the real world. They argued that you couldn't solve these problems in a lab. They were driven by product deadlines, by the pressure from Microsoft, and by an intense competition with Google, who was rapidly catching up. This wasn't just a philosophical disagreement. It was a Cold War, fought in the hallways and boardrooms of the most important company on Earth. And in November of 2023, That Cold War went hot. On Friday, November 17th, the world was stunned. Sam Altman, the celebrated CEO, the face of the AI revolution, had been fired. The board, which included Ilya Sutskever, had staged a coup. Their official statement was vague, citing only that Altman was not consistently candid in his communications. The real reason was far more terrifying. The board, and specifically Ilya, had come to believe that Altman was moving too fast, was too focused on profit, and was ignoring catastrophic safety risks in the race to AGI. Whispers emerged of a breakthrough project inside the company, a model known as Q-Star, which had apparently shown unprecedented, unexplainable new abilities in mathematical reasoning, a key step towards AGI. The safety-ists believed this breakthrough was so profound that it required a dramatic slowdown, something Altman would never agree to. So they fired him. What followed was 72 hours of the most intense corporate drama in Silicon Valley history. Microsoft, who had just integrated OpenAI's tech into their entire product line, was blindsided and furious. Nearly all of OpenAI's 700-plus employees signed an open letter, threatening to quit and follow Altman to a new AI venture at Microsoft unless the board resigned. The pressure was immense. The board had the moral high ground, but Sam had the power, the money, and the loyalty of the talent. For a brief, terrifying moment, it looked like the safety-ists might win. It looked like the brakes were about to be slammed on the AGI train, but they didn't win. In a stunning reversal, the board was forced out, Sam Altman was reinstated as CEO, and Ilya Sutskever, the man who tried to save the world, was stripped of his power and effectively vanished from public life. The accelerationists had won. The brakes were not just released, they were torn out and thrown from the train. In the months that followed, the consequences of that coup became chillingly clear. In May of 2024, Ilya Sutskever officially resigned from OpenAI. Hours later, Jan Leke, his co-lead on the super alignment team, also resigned, posting a devastating message on Twitter. He wrote, quote, "Over the past years, safety culture and processes have taken a backseat to shiny products." He warned that OpenAI was not on a trajectory to handle a superintelligence responsibly. Think about that. The top safety researchers, the men whose entire job was to be the guardians at the gate, had just publicly declared that the gate was now wide open and no one was on watch. And this brings us to today. To the dark future we were promised at the beginning of this story. OpenAI is now firmly under the control of the faction that prioritizes speed and product over precautionary safety. They are in an all-out arms race with Google, with Meta, with Anthropic, and with sovereign nations, all sprinting towards AGI. The risks are no longer theoretical. We are living with them. AI-powered misinformation is already sophisticated enough to create fake audio and video that is indistinguishable from reality, threatening to destabilize elections and shatter our shared sense of truth. AI is being integrated into autonomous weapons systems, creating slaughter bots that can make the decision to kill without any human intervention. And the economic disruption from AI automating not just blue-collar but white-collar jobs, lawyers, accountants, even programmers, is a tidal wave that is just beginning to form. These are the immediate threats. The existential threat, the one that kept Ilya Sutskever up at night, is AGI misalignment. We are continuing to build a mind that is vastly more intelligent than our own, with no proven method for ensuring it shares our values or our desire for humanity to continue to exist. We are, as many experts have warned, building our own successor. OpenAI began as a promise to democratize the power of AI, to build it safely, to build it for the benefit of all. But faced with the immense pressures of capitalism and competition, that promise has been broken. The non-profit that was meant to be a safeguard has become the engine. The men who wanted to apply the brakes have been cast out. And the Doomsday Clock is ticking faster than ever, its hands now controlled by an intelligence we created, but no longer understand. We are left with a terrifying question. What happens when the most powerful tool ever created is in the hands of people who see move fast and break things, not as a catchy startup motto, but as a viable strategy for building a god? Now that you know the internal war that nearly tore OpenAI apart, you need to understand the external war that's just beginning. The race isn't just about who builds AGI first. It's about what happens when it's built by those who see safety not as a feature, but as a bug. In the next video, we expose the secret AGI projects at Google, Meta, and beyond, and reveal why the real AI arms race is far more dangerous than you could ever imagine.